to my kings, queens, and in-betweens. I'm Valerie, and welcome to my channel, The Bookish Valkyrie. So today's vlog is a very chaotic vlog. I am starting in the middle of a readathon that I should have started doing updates on 3 books ago, but I didn't, so here we are. Also, I am currently at my mom's house, and I am puppy sitting her dogs, my brother's dogs, and I brought my dogs along for the ride so that my poor roommate would not be saddled with 3 sad, lonely dogs. So, plus they love to come and visit my mom's dogs and my brother's dogs. So, but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of dog noises. There's gonna be a lot of doggy interference. But basically what I'm trying to vlog is my reads for Jante's Inferno. So far, I have escaped 3 levels of hell and I have 4 left to go. So I've read Where They Saw Her Last by Marcy R. Rendon. This is an indigenous mystery thriller, and I have to say that it is possibly one of the most well-written thrillers that I have read in a really long time, maybe ever. But this one was beautifully written. There is a motif of the main character, Quill, running throughout the story, both literally and figuratively. She is running away from the things that she's afraid of and running towards the answers she's searching for, and it really lends a lot of tension to the writing, a lot of beauty and rhythm to the writing, and I just really enjoyed the way that this story was told. That being said, it is a horrifying story because it is about missing and murdered Indigenous women and how criminally low the effort and coverage of these women's disappearances and murders is. I already talked about this a bit when I was announcing my TBR for Jante's Inferno, but our main character hears a blood-curdling scream in the woods, and she calls the cops to have them investigate it, and they don't even go halfway as far into the woods as she told them that she was when she heard the scream. So literally, they made the most insignificant attempt at investigating this possible disappearance of a woman. And so our main character takes it upon herself. She recruits the help of her husband and her friends. It does become a conflict between her and her husband. I think the author does a really good job of showing a loving and supportive husband who is at his wit's end because he's terrified for his partner and what she's doing, the danger she's getting herself into. At one point, she does do some of her investigating with her kid in the car, and it terrifies him and it terrifies her. And I understand why he was upset with her for that. But at the same time, it's not her fault what happened at that point. I don't think that her investigation at this point was really what brought the danger on her. I think her just existing in the world as an Indigenous woman is what put her in danger at this point. I don't know. It's a really rough read because our main character is coming up again and again and again against walls of disbelief, walls of apathy, walls of leave it alone, it's too dangerous, but she just can't let it go because she can't take seeing another woman disappear without a trace, without any effort being put into looking for her. It was a 5-star read. It was absolutely gripping, and the writing was beautiful. So I'm really glad that I got to start Jante's Inferno off with a 5-star read. That was awesome. So Where They Last Saw Her by Marcy R. Rendon was the book that I read to betray my TBR, and that got me out of the 9th circle of hell. And then I read Black Sun to escape the 8th and 7th circles of hell, and the way that this book qualified for those circles of hell is that this is a book with a dark cover, and it's also a book with violence in it. And oh, buddy, is there a lot of violence in this. But it's a great time. This is a very fast-paced high fantasy set in the pre-Columbian Americas and based on indigenous folklore and mythology. And honestly, it is even better on the second read. So basically this is the first book in a trilogy, and I have no idea where it's going from here. I have like threads of ideas of where it's going from the end of this book, but the possibilities are so vast that like I can't even begin to predict. So basically this sets up our three main characters, who are the sun priest Narampa, a mysterious man named Serapio, who is so much more than he seems, and a teak woman named Zayala, who is exactly what she seems and then some. It's a fantastic story. The world building is amazing, and it's not the kind of world building that I have a tough time with, because it is built into the rest of the story. It's building as you move through, as you meet characters and as you move through the world, rather than just exposition world building, which I can't do. And that's usually where high fantasy loses me, is when it goes into a ton of exposition on detailed descriptions of world building. And I can't do that. So the pacing of this, the method that the world building is done, all of that just blends beautifully. Rebecca Rowan Horse was already a favorite of mine before I read this book the first time, but this solidified her as like one of my top tier ultimate authors, because now I know that she can even get me to enjoy a high fantasy, which I love so much. I love high fantasy, and it makes me so sad that there are so many high fantasies that I just can't read because my brain doesn't do well with really like extensive world building. And so that's a major barrier for me with high fantasy, and that's part of why I love this so much. So basically our three main characters are set on a path that intersects on the day of convergence, when the shadow of the moon completely swallows the sun. Serapio and Zayala and Narampa are set on a crash course for disaster. And you as you go through, you think you know how the disaster is going to go, and you've got your fingers crossed the whole time that it'll go differently, or you're not really necessarily even sure what you're hoping for. At least I really wasn't sure what I was hoping for. I'm still not sure what I'm hoping for, how I'm hoping things turn out. It's very clear that the way that things are set up right now is very unbalanced, and that there is a definite need for change in the societal structure of this world. At least, for the people who it doesn't benefit. Sweeping, epic, fast-paced. Those are the buzzwords I'm going to give you for this. And I loved it. And I'm going to leave it there, because otherwise I'm going to keep babbling vaguely, because I don't want to give any spoilers for this book in this series. I will definitely be picking up the next book in this series as soon as I have escaped hell. So I escaped the 6th and 5th rings of hell by reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. The prompt requirements for this book was that it needed to be a hot pick, so something that is popular or trending, and it had to be something with a conflict in the synopsis that I find intriguing. Anytime you pit teenage girls against the world, I'm intrigued. This is a conflict that I am here for, and I am rooting for those girls. This one, I went into unsure how I felt about it, because with Grady Hendrix, I have had one major hit and two kind of hits. Basically, I gave Horror Store 5 stars. I gave my best friend's Exorcism, I think, like 3.75 stars. Although that one I think might make it up to a 4 star on a reread, because a lot of the barriers that I had with getting into it at the beginning wouldn't really be an issue anymore, since I have already read the whole book and I know where it's going. And then I gave Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires 3 stars. I mean, it was really well written, but there was some stuff that happened in it that I was not prepared for. And a lot of the gaslighting that takes place in it, I feel, was overdone, and it made it very difficult for me to read. It was very just enraging. And I know that, like, it's meant to be, but it was a major barrier to my enjoyment and a major barrier to my ability to even read it. So the highest score that I could give it was 3 stars. I know he's got it in him to give me a 5 star read. However, he has fallen short a few times now. I gave We Sold Our Souls 1 star. I absolutely hated it. Like, absolutely hated it. It was horrible. It was, like, by the time I finished reading it, I was kind of just rage reading, because I needed to see if it was really as bad as it was, and it was just bad. I know there are a lot of people out there who enjoyed it, but for me, it was like a big major flop. I absolutely hated it. There was no redeeming quality. And then with Final Girl Support Group, I gave that 2 stars, because it had some parts that I found really interesting and some parts that I enjoyed. But overall, I was really just disappointed. There were parts where I was bored, and there were parts where I was just so angry, because, I mean, the book is Final Girl Support Group. That's the title, right? So you're expecting these women to support each other, and they don't. They don't. I really hated the dynamic between these women. They had a few good moments, they had a few beautiful moments, and the end was actually really good. That was honestly probably what saved it from being a 1 star. But I hated the way these women talked to each other. I hated the way these women treated each other. It was awful. I hated it. Period. And then I completely DNF'd How to Sell a Haunted House. It was boring and not at all what I was looking for. And I just did not like it, did not enjoy it. So, I don't know, maybe it got better after I DNF'd it, but I'll never know, because I'll never read it. But I really, and after reading that, I wasn't sure that I would pick up the next Grady Hendrix, but the premise got me. And that's the thing with Grady Hendrix, is he has amazing premises. I always tell myself, if he can deliver on this premise, I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be a 5 star. And because I've had a 5 star from him, I am, kind of hopeful. And so with this book, with Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, it was not a 5 star. I gave it a 3.5. There was a point I don't know. It had a really slow beginning, but I was intrigued enough to keep reading. And even though it was a slow beginning, it was doing a very good job of setting the scene, setting the time frame, and the world that these girls are in, and the reality of the world at that time. And so I could forgive the long, slow beginning. I do wish that he had edited it back just a little bit. Like, it could have done with like 50 less pages of that beginning, or it could have done with jumping in at a different point. I don't know, something. But once we finally meet the witch and we finally get the book in the hands of these teenage girls, things do pick up. They do their witchcraft, and all the witchy scenes are actually pretty enjoyable. Um, at least at least at the beginning. All the scenes where the girls are in their power are really enjoyable. Um, the older witches piss me off. The Basically every single adult in this book pisses me off. The only ones who are kind of tolerable are Hagar and her sister. Um, and the things that I didn't particularly care for about those characters are actually really just understandable because they're just trying to survive in the world, honestly. So even when they are less sympathetic than I would have liked them to be, I understand why. And I understand like where they're coming from. They're just trying to survive. They're just trying to protect themselves, and I get that. Because the world is even worse for them than it is for these girls. But every other adult in this book can die in a fire. Like especially all of the ones in authority. The witches, I understand the adult witches to a certain point. The main adult witch, I intellectually understand where she's coming from. I hate her. And anyhow, this this guy really Grady Hendrix really brings out the hate in me. And I think that that's kind of on purpose because the things about these characters that I hate are things that I'm supposed to hate. They are the realities of the world, especially the world at that time. And so you're supposed to hate them. And I think that's probably true of all of his books. I just wish he had a little more balance to his writing, a little more of the girls in their power, a little less of the girls taking forever to make the right choice. Like, I understand the waffle. I do. I have a hard time choosing what I'm going to eat next. But when you double down on the wrong choice again and again, I start to lose some empathy. so that was the problem that I had, was that our main character, our main point of view girl, I was really empathetic with her throughout the whole thing up until after she has her baby. And then I understand that a lot of this is trauma response, but the way she keeps doubling down on the wrong choices just bothered me so much because, like, I don't know, Grady Hendrix could have shown her hesitation to do the right thing, and they could have shown her trauma responses without doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on them before she finally changes her mind, because you know she's going to. It's not a spoiler to say she's going to change her mind in that moment. I just wish that she would have that she would have changed it earlier. She would have been more proactive earlier. And I don't think it would have changed the trajectory of the story, but it definitely would have given her a lot more power in her choices. It would have made her a much stronger character. And that is honestly what I'm looking for when I am reading about women railing against the world, is I'm looking for the characters to dig in and find their strength. I'm not asking them to ignore their trauma. I'm not asking them to not show their trauma, but I do want to see them find their strength, because I think it's a really important message that in the worst of times you can find your strength. And that's where you find your real strength. But yeah, Anyhow, I have talked about Grady Hendrix way too much. So that got me through the 6th and 5th Rings of Hell, and now I am working on the 4th and 3rd Rings of Hell. And to get out of those Rings of Hell, I need to read a book that I acquired recently, and with something with food or a beverage on the cover. So I am going to be reading Guilt and Ginataan. I've already started it on audiobook. And I just got a notification that the physical copy is on my doorstep at home. So I'm going to run home and pick that up. And I can maybe like switch back and forth or tandem read. I'm definitely in kind of a tandem read sort of mood right now. And then once I have at least gotten further into that book or finished it, I will check back in.
You say it's hard to tell just what I'm thinking. You think it's hard to see behind my smile. I'll say whatever you want, let you walk into my heart if you want to. You can ask me anything, no walls between us, ain't no mask. I'ma tell you all my secrets. You can ask me anything, no walls between us, ain't no mask. I'ma tell you all my secrets. No secrets, no secrets. No secrets, no secrets. Wanna show you all my feelings. I'm not good at keeping no secrets.
Hello, it is Friday. I am still at my mom's house, puppy sitting, so the noise is going to be what the noise is going to be, with 7 dogs in the house and hardwood floors everywhere. Every little click-clack is getting picked up, I'm sure. I am, in honor of Jante's Inferno, wearing her merch. See y'all in hell. So that felt like the right move today. Make myself feel a little bit better. So I didn't do any check-ins yesterday because I unfortunately was in a car accident in the canyon during the snowstorm. I got out of it without any injuries, and no one else was involved. And the only damage was to my car. So all things said and done, with really dramatic details that I don't particularly want to go into on here. But ultimately, I was really very, very lucky because of all of the things that could have gone worse, all of the things that went right. So, like I said, I am virtually unscathed, aside from the emotional part of it and everything, and the mental part. And even that, I think, is not. I'm not in terrible shape about it. Just kind of worn out right now. So sorry if the energy levels are kind of low right now, but I'm still kind of exhausted, even though I got a really good night's sleep last night. But I'm pretty sure that was down to how exhausted I was yesterday. But yeah, I got out of a car accident without a scratch. But I didn't get out of the affection of my lovely little Ivy girl, my brother's dog. being so excited to see me that she scratched the crap out of me. But that's all right. It doesn't even hurt. It just doesn't look very good. Um, Anyhow, my microphone is in the front seat of the car along with my physical copy of Guilt and Ginataan. So I don't have either of those with me for this check-in, hence the gaming headset. And my brother's dog Jinx has just decided that it is time to eat. So, all right. So, back to the books. Um, I did finish reading Guilt and Ginataan this morning on audiobook. It was just as good as I was hoping it would be. I'm probably going to give it, I don't know, 4.5, maybe 5 stars. I don't know how I feel about it is impacted by what happened yesterday because I was listening to it in the car as I was driving. And so, like, right now, I'm feeling kind of lackluster about it, but at the time, before everything went all screwy, I was really enjoying it, and so I don't know. We'll see. I think for now, I'll just make it a 5 star, and if later on I feel like it didn't deserve it, I might move it down to like a 4.5. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's a 5 star. I really loved it. Um, we got to see the aunties. There was some friction in the friend group, which I didn't love, but is totally something that you can expect to see in a long running series. Like, it only makes sense that there's going to be hiccups in friendships. Um, I do wish there was a little more, I don't know, maybe it is a 4.5 because of this. I wish that the tension in the friendship had been addressed a little more in detail so far as the fixing of it, because we got plenty of content in the book about the tension happening in the friendship and whatnot, but we didn't really get any explanation for why or what was causing the tension. Um, there was like some really vague allusions to why the upset in the friend group was happening, but it was all very well. It was all kind of like hand waved away in the wrap up of the book, where they just said that they sat down and had a real conversation about all of the ugly things that no one was saying, but it didn't say what the ugly things were. So I guess, yeah, I think maybe it is a 4.5 star, legitimately. Okay, so hopefully that sounds a bit better. There's seems to be at least a lot less click clacking happening. I was in the other room because the lighting in there I thought might be better because it had like the bigger like sliding glass windows. Anyway, all right. So Guilt and Gina Ta'an. Yeah, 4.5 stars. Really loved it, and reading that book got me through the fourth and third rings of hell. And the prompts for those again were recently acquired and food or beverage on the cover. There was a rice and sweet corn ginataan. Ginataan is basically anything like cooked in coconut milk. But yeah, and so it has that. So it has that rice and corn ginataan on the cover. So that's how it met that requirement. And my next book that I need to read for the second ring of hell is a 5 star prediction. And I was going to read Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones, but now I don't know that I am, like, even as short as it is, I don't know that I am really feeling a horror right now. I think I've had my fill of horror for the week. With what happened yesterday. So I don't know what I'm reading. I started this update without a plan, in case you couldn't tell. Hang on, and I'll check back in just a minute. All right, so I looked at the books that I have on my phone, and I settled on an audiobook that I have been meaning to read for a really long time, and that is Born to be Badger, which is the fifth book in the Honey Badger Chronicles by Shelley Laurenston. And Shelley Laurenston is also G.A. Aiken, in case you've read like the Dragonkin series or the spinoff from the Dragonkin series that I can't remember the name of that series. I think that Shelley Laurenston's writing style is exactly what I'm looking for right now. She's very humorous. All of her female characters are absolute bamps, and her male characters range everything from the sweetest cinnamon rolls to the grumpiest grumps. And the thing that they all have in common is their absolute just devotion to the women in their lives, both their love interests, their family members, their friends. They are just great guys, the guys that you hope to see more of in the world. Um, and the humor is absolutely just irreverent, and I love that. And then with the honey badgers in particular, uh, those women are unhinged in the best kind of way. I would call her writing style of when it comes to romance as rom-com with an action urban fantasy twist. I think this is exactly what I need right now, and I really do think that this is going to be a 5-star for me, because so far every Honey Badger book has been a 5-star for me. Here's hoping that I am right, and I will check back in again with you later.
I need an intervention, divine intervention, you know. Only in my crucial moments do they pay attention carefully. The shadows of my past welcome me again with a smile. But something deep within, something new, lets me emerge from my cocoon. I only have what's right in front of me. Only you know what is right for me.
Hello. I just wanted to do a quick check-in because I realized I didn't tell you guys what this book is about. And that's kind of half the point of, okay, maybe the whole point of, talking about books online. So I'm just gonna read it because I know I will get completely lost in the weeds trying to explain what this is about. So here's the summary. Emily Talk Meyerson Jackson is on a mission to rid the world of shifters trafficking humans for hunting and cash. And now that she's narrowed down her suspects to a brutal coalition of male lions, nothing will get between this honey badger and her prey. Not even a dog-loving tiger with absolutely no time management skills. And it doesn't matter that Shay Malone is ferociously adorable. With a war brewing between cat families, Talk doesn't have time to lounge around with a football-playing tiger shifter. But when she realizes the coalition is also responsible for the death of Shay's father, she's forced to partner up with the flirtatious feline. Revenge is most definitely on the menu for Shay and his tiger shifter brothers. But when it comes to Shay's alluring partner in crime solving, so is seduction. Talk might be a badass of a honey badger, but she's awfully cute when she's flashing her fangs, which she's pretty much doing all the time these days. Good thing revenge is a dish best served hot, because when it comes to talk, Shay knows just how to turn up the heat. So, basically, this is shifter romance. Our main characters are a honey badger shifter and a tiger shifter. One is very laid back and sweet, and the other is aggressively, well, everything. Aggressively on time. It's a great time. I am loving this. This is exactly what I needed for today, and I am so happy that I had it on my phone waiting for me to pick it up. So, yeah, I don't know if I will do another check-in tonight. I might. If I do, it'll be because I finished this book. If not, then I will probably do my check-in when I finish it tomorrow, and I'm starting my next book, which will be Hood Feminism, and that will be my final book that gets me out of hell. So if I don't make it out of hell by the 16th, it'll be just barely I won't make it. But we'll see. The biggest problem being that if I don't finish it tomorrow, I probably won't finish it the next day because my husband will be back in town and I just don't spend very much time reading on his days off because he's a trucker and I don't see him 5 days out of the week. So on his 2 days that he's home, things tend to be focused on us spending time together, and that doesn't usually leave me time to read. Like, I might read if he ends up wanting to do some solo gaming, but right now we are working on a couple of different games together, and we haven't played it all this week while he was gone. Sometimes we play while he's away, and sometimes we play at home when we're both there, but this week with me being here at my mom's, I haven't been able to play any video games with him, so I'm guessing that Sunday and Monday are going to be just chock full of gaming. But I will keep this vlog going even if I don't make the deadline to get out of hell. I'm still going to keep reading until I finish this book and Hood Feminism, and I will just have a delayed release from hell. Anyway, see you next check-in. Hello, it is Saturday. The doggy chaos is continuing. Nyx is hiding up here from the boys because they have been very overwhelming for her lately. The other girls are hiding over there, but she likes to play rough and tumble, and so, yeah, she's just gonna hide up here with me for a little bit. So I finished reading Born to be Badger last night, probably around midnight 30, and honestly, it was exactly what I needed in the moment. The ridiculousness, the irreverent humor, the just unhinged violence, the super sweet romance. It was just the perfect blend of exactly what I needed at that time. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure what I should be rating it because, while sure, I am accustomed to while I am accustomed to Shelley Lawrenston's books ending in happy for nows rather than happily ever afters, this one felt like it ended a little bit earlier than it should have. Like, I was having a grand old time, and then all of a sudden, I was being thanked for listening to Tantor audio. And and this was not what I was expecting in that moment. I was expecting another few chapters. So because of that, I cannot really justify giving it like the 4 that I think I probably would have given it before now. So I think I may put it at a 3.5 star. I'm not sure if that is a fair rating or not because my brain is not braining so good right now, especially yesterday. I was just kind of checked out. But then again, that is why I needed to read this book. Maybe I missed something that would have made that ending happening when it did make more sense or feel more correct. But until I get around to rereading the Honey Badger Chronicles, I'm gonna leave it at a 3.5 and yeah, that's still a good rating. I still really very much enjoyed it. It just wasn't quite meeting my expectations with the way that it ended or where it ended. But yeah, it was exactly the kind of story that I needed at that time. I probably I probably will be reading some more popcorn reads for the rest of the month. Um, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I do still want to continue with the books that I had planned, but I know that I can't hold myself to a rigid TBR because then I'll just go into a full-on slump. We'll see where I end up. So yeah, that was really good. I did also start reading Hood Feminism. I am very much enjoying it. I think that this is a great place to start if you are wanting to explore feminism specifically through an intersectional lens. Um, a lot of the points that are being made in this book are very much transferable to any type of intersectionality and she's already mentioned more than once how important intersectionality is, and she has brought up the other intersections of feminism that are very important, like the LGBTQ plus community, and um, and I think that she's making some very very pertinent points. None of the territory that has been covered so far is unfamiliar to me. None of the points or arguments are really anything I am personally unfamiliar with. However, I do make a point of following black feminists and feminists from various backgrounds in life, and I do intentionally try to make sure that the feminism, the feminist conversations that I am a part of and that I am keeping track of are intersectional. Um, but if that is a new concept for you, or if it's just something that you haven't spent a lot of time looking into on the level of reading nonfiction books, and I think this is a really great place to start. I also think that this is a really good text for people who are more familiar with this conversation because I think that it boils a lot of it down to a really good, concise, and clear perspective, and I think that it would really help people who are more familiar but still wanting to further their self-education. I think it's a really good resource for helping you find the language to discuss these topics within the feminist diaspora. And like I said, I'm only halfway through. I don't know everything that's going to be covered yet. Um, and it makes sense for her to be starting with some wider topics and narrowing down to more specific things, um, which right now it does feel like she's just bringing in all of the various spheres of conversation that are floating around in the intersectional feminism conversation and world. So I think this is a great book to be reading during Black History Month. I think that this was a pertinent book when it first came out, and I think it continues and persists to be pertinent to the conversation of equality and in general, and specifically to feminism and intersectional feminism. So, um, even though I'm only halfway through this book, I absolutely recommend that you pick this up and read it. Uh, I will be checking in later once I have finished reading this book and give you an update for where I am on that. And as for like this whole Jante's Inferno experience, I don't think that I thought about it too hard when I pulled together these books for the TBR, but I honestly think that this has been a really good journey and was actually paced out pretty well. And I like that I'm ending on a nonfiction book that is pertinent to the current hellscape that we are living in. I will check in again with you soon, and I love this girl.
You know just what you do to me. Play my emotions like a pair of puppet strings. Did it ever occur to you my heart's more than a toy? Please go easy on me, babe. Send message after message, forward my calls. Next day you hit me back like nothing happened at all. What about all the things you used to say to me? This ain't the way it's supposed to be.
Hello, I am here for my final check-in and ready to close out this vlog. I am also getting ready to head home in the next hour or two. I have enjoyed my stay with these little puppers, but I'm very ready to go home. And my dogs are very ready to go home too. They love visiting their cousins, but like any other social situation, there comes a time when enough is enough, and I think that a week is enough. I did finish reading Hood Feminism just now, and it definitely was retreading a lot of familiar territory. Towards the end, there was a chapter that I will probably be revisiting in the near future, just to re-listen and continue to contemplate about the point made there. A lot of the focus of this book is definitely on respectability politics and how divisive they are and how much they can actually be used against the person who is supposed to be helping. The chapter that I'm wanting to revisit kind of brings that concept to a head. It talks about allyship and anger and being an accomplice instead of an ally. So I want to go back and reread that and get the language around that in my head so that I can add that to my toolbox when it comes to talking about equality and intersectionality and allyship. I'm really glad that I got to read Hood Feminism, and I'm glad that I got to it today in this readathon. I feel like it was a really good place to end the readathon, and yeah, I will definitely be revisiting it and recommending it going forward. Hello, Ivy. So, thank you for joining me on this chaotic doggy vlog through hell. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if you participated in Jante's Inferno, what your favorite read was, and if you didn't, what is the most recent book that you read. If you don't want to do any of that, then leave me an emoji of those like confetti celebration things just to let me know you were here, and I will see you next time.
Stars shining bright above you.
kings, queens, and in-betweens. I'm Valerie, and welcome to my channel. Yeah? Do you have things to say? Did you want to discuss the books with me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah? Is that what's happening? Yeah? Okay, animals. There are so many of you. Me talking doesn't mean I'm talking to you. Oh my goodness. Yes. I know. Yes. I know. This is a chaos vlog. I think they might all be chaos vlogs. Yes. Okay. I believe you. Okay. I believe you.